Welcome back, and that was Johnny's Bites asking the president to fulfill his promise. Well, we have a number of issues to talk about right here on the show. On the big issue and topical would be that ECOWAS emergency meeting yesterday, and so we'll possibly start with that. But let me introduce my guest to you this morning. I have Kamal Dean Abdullah. He's the Deputy Director of Communications for the MPP. And by the way, just about 2 days ago, it was announced that he had, along with some 4 other people, been appointed by the president as board of director to TOR, right?
Well,
congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, my dear.
That's
sister.
a lot of work, by the way.
I guess so.
How are you bracing up for it?
Good morning to you. Good morning to cherished viewers. A man must be faced with challenge. A man must put in his best for his own country, irrespective of where you're put. The little knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually given you is what you would have to put to fore and ensure that the confidence reposed in you for the work to be done, okay? I mean, for you to do a particular job, that particular confidence must not be, if you like, put to shame. So I want to be thankful to whoever, especially the president, and of course the other appointing authorities for reposing such confidence in us in the tentative. We are waiting until the swearing in is done. That's why I said the tentative.
Yeah.
Then of course when that is done, we'll all work together.
When is the swearing in?
Not yet.
You don't know
I think
yet.
the energy minister will have to do their administrative work.
I hope you don't end up behaving like the MC and be driving.
Well, interestingly, I hold a
don't worry.
different view.
Let me introduce my second guest.
With all respect, just a bit. I differ a bit from my good friend Johnny.
In what way?
Yes, misconduct of whichever kind, okay, or whichever form it comes is wrong. Clear. However, there is always a maxim, and we have a lawyer here, Audi alteram partem. Listen to the other side.
Okay.
Justice Olenu will say, "Tienu menu menu."
Okay.
Okay.
So
if you do not listen
side.
to the other side and you sound judgmental, okay, that is quite appalling and bad.
There was an audio
So
tape, by the way. But let me
I'm sure
introduce
there is.
my
I'm not
second
saying,
guest.
but of course, there could be an audio tape, but that's only mountain of defense.
Okay.
Lawyers have always done that.
Joining us also this morning is the head of the legal team of the NDC, lawyer Abraham Amaliba. Good morning, lawyer. How are you?
Good morning, Bella. I'm fine, except that the fuel prices, as I drive in here, anytime I see the fuel prices, I get alarmed. Where are we going to end at? And so the excruciating economic conditions are what worries me. But he talked about odi ateram partem, but there's also a maxim, res ipsa loquitur. The matter speaks for itself. So sometimes, when the matter speaks for itself, you don't even need to hear the other person.
Yeah. In this case, that 20
That's
minutes audio,
what has happened, yes.
That's circulating.
Yes. Where who is supposed to be music, the head of the security in the district, attacking a policeman just because the policeman was trying to assert the law. One would have expected that because you are the head of the security agencies, you exercise some calm and deal with the matter. Even those of us who are not MCs, when the police arrest you and then you pop your head and they see you, they begin to be nice towards you. There's no need to be violent the way he behaves. So, counter to his auditory party principle, I'm saying that ipsa loquitur. The matter speaks for itself.
The matter speaks for itself. And on that note, we'll shortly be joined by Kwamina Bonfe Jr. He's the managing editor for the National Forum newspaper. But quickly before that, let's take a look at how the ECOWAS meeting yesterday ended, of course, with regards to President Akufo-Addo speaking, and of course the president of ECOWAS speaking as well. And they're saying that it's time that ECOWAS, encourages countries to come together and work and fix their security issues. Let's take a look at that, and we'll have a third guest join us.
After studying 2 reports from 2 envoys, the ECOWAS leaders sent to Burkina Faso to find out what exactly happened before the coup, they've decided today, after the summit, that amongst other things, the leaders who caused the coup should propose a timetable to return the country to constitutional rule. Jean-Claude Cassibrou is the chairman of the ECOWAS Commission. He has details.
The first decision that they took was to still decide to maintain the suspension of Burkina Faso from all ECOWAS institutions, to reaffirm the condemnation of this coup d'etat, and they also requested the immediate release of President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore.
ECOWAS Commission Chair Jean-Claude Cassibrou also gave some updates on Guinea and Mali, and all centered on timetable to return their countries to constitutional rule. Let's hear him.
Reaching power through non-constitutional means is totally forbidden, and that the military is non-political, is a non-political institution, so cannot be involved in those type of action.
On Tuesday's coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, leaders have decided to send a stabilization force to that country to maintain peace and order. Once again, Jean-Claude Cassibrou gives some details.
There was a coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, and the authority firmly condemned that, and also gave the full support and solidarity to the President Umaru Sissoko Embalo, who was able to really manage to restore the situation, and also to the whole people of Guinea-Bissau. In fact, the authority decided really to send a stabilization force in Bissau to help in maintaining the stabilization of the country.
And that is Mr. Cassibrou. Yesterday, there was a closed-door session of ECOWAS leaders discussing the coup in Burkina Faso. And in fact, in the last 18 months, there have been a number of attempted coups and actual coups. And we'll start from Mali. That was on the 18th of August, 2021. And then on the 5th of September, there was another coup in Guinea, and the president was overthrown. In fact, in those two cases, ECOWAS held, a number of meetings, and they entreated the military to return to civilian rule. I mean, we're still waiting for that to actually happen at the moment. And now we have also witnessed another coup at the moment. And so questions are rife about ECOWAS and its position when it comes to ensuring or preventing coup d'etats. A number of people have complained that for ECOWAS, they are more reactive than proactive, and that has become a problem. I remember some time back when the Guinea coup happened, and there were people who were asked questions on the streets because they celebrated the coup after former President Alpha Condé had decided to review the constitution to give him a third term. And they said that, well, they don't even believe in ECOWAS to ensure that things are brought under control, because that's all ECOWAS does. They just wait for something wrong to happen. Why did they not step in when the former president was trying to review the constitution? But joining us in the studio this morning is Kwamnat Bomford Jr. He's the managing editor for the National Forum newspaper. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
I'll start off with you on this ECOWAS closed-door meeting yesterday, and the fact that a lot of people were expecting them to proffer some more sanctions apart from suspending Burkina Faso from all ECOWAS activities. But that didn't happen. Took a different turn where they're entreating countries to rather come together and fight insecurity. And a number of people have said that that is all ECOWAS knows how to do.
Well, thank you very much, but let me touch a bit on what you wanted me to skip. I enjoyed it when I heard my two brothers battle over the contentions, and hearing, the lawyer advance that, res ipsa loquitur. And my brother was arguing the principle of ode altram partem. I am wondering if the matter speaking for itself as a principle of law can oust the principle of law that says that listen to the other side. It flies in the face of the rules for natural justice. You see, the burden of democracy and the rule of law is fidelity to the law. This is our constitution, the parent law. no matter how guilty a person appears to be, it does not lie in your mouth or mine to pronounce that person guilty.
Okay.
You see, and I want to plead with the public and all of us, especially those of us who get the privilege and the opportunity to engage on such platforms. It is very easy to run and say the person is guilty. But you see, justice, we are told, grinds and grinds on slow wheels.
Yeah.
Because it's settled that it is better to allow, one innocent person, okay? I mean, it's very dangerous to suffer one innocent person than for, 100 guilty people to be set free. That's why judges take their time. It's painstaking. It's long suffering. So yes, it may appear so on the face of it. We have the luxury and not the benefit of the other side. So we can run and say...
Are you sure we don't have the benefits of the other side? There's a 20-minute long video, and the man is said to have not defended himself when the policeman even accused him of the wrongdoing.
Nonetheless.
He rather threatened the policeman.
My dear, I have just established the principle, and I hear my friend Hughes. Yes, 20 minutes. And a senior counsel is here.
Yeah.
I'm saying that notwithstanding the evidence, it still remains a fact that it must be a court of competence jurisdiction to make the pronouncement that he is guilty. Because after all, he is charged with a particular offense, not just any offense.
Okay.
And the facts must speak to that. Now,
all right. We've been told he's been arrested, by the way.
So as a politician,
yeah.
I want to caution people who want to front their position and their privilege must learn that you are holding it in trust for the people. So for that, engaging in that, kind of attitude, you know who I am this. We've seen that in the past. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't let your position, your conduct speak for your position and not the other way around. So I condemn that attitude. It's bad. However, on the matter of the law, for me, I leave that to the court to decide.
Okay.
And so I move quickly.
Back to ECOWAS. Is it suffering a crisis of credibility?
I posted something on my WhatsApp status yesterday, and what was going on. It just reminded me of an interview the late Emeritus Professor John Henry Clark said, not too long before his death, around 1998, that the problem we have in Africa is that there are and he was also linking it to the African American community in the United States, that there are too many leaders, but less of leadership. And I can say that appears to be a problem for us. We have many position and office wielders or power wielders. However, we are not living up to the dictates and the responsibilities of those offices. And here, I would say that we are quick to point at political office holders. But I'm sorry. It transcends into the home, the traditional institutions, the various private sector institutions, our churches, the Muslim communities, the mosques. The pulpit is failing us, the mosque is failing us, our traditional institutions are failing us. And of course, it is reflecting in the political leadership that we have in our countries. And I say that if we all admit that leadership is always a reflection of membership or followers or citizenship begets the kind of leaders we have, then you will begin to appreciate that we cannot blame the leaders entirely because they are who we put there.
Okay.
We are not blameless. What did we consider in appointing or electing our leaders?
The promises they made.
The promises they make. You are supposed to subject their promises to scrutiny. On what lenses did you judge their promises? I come to make a proposition to you. I want to marry you. I make a promise. I want to be a darling husband. I don't think that you just say yes. You measure. And that's a practical way I want to position this. When they come courting us to marry us, on what basis do we make our judgments that, yes, I say yes, take me to the altar. And when he has taken me to the altar and then all of a sudden he starts butchering me in the face at home, I blame him for making those...
I should blame myself?
Thank you. You must take responsibility. As much as you blame him, but take responsibility that he is not entirely blamable. You accepted.
But I accepted based on the kind of, promises he made and the kind of person he portrayed himself to be. And so if you come into the leadership position, I expect that you fulfill those promises. But along the line, and especially with the case of, the coups that we're witnessing in some of these countries, at least in Burkina Faso, we're told that it's also because of the deteriorating security situation. But in Guinea, it's because the president wanted to stay in power longer than before. Okay? And so he promised us that he would do A, B, C, and D. But he gets into power, becomes power drunk, and wants to review the constitution so he can stay longer. How should I blame myself for that?
Well, so that's what I mean by saying that the citizens cannot take themselves out of it. No president, and in this case the Guinean president, could so motu on his own unilaterally say that he's changing the constitution. It's not possible. Who are the people who are collaborating with him? And from day one, what attempts? I'm saying, you see, we are quick to check and renege on check our responsibilities and blame everybody else but us. And that is part of our problem.
But we put them there to make the decisions on our behalf.
We watch on until things deteriorate. I'm saying that we need to be alert and aware and conscious from the word go.
Is that not what ECOWAS has failed to do? Because we sat down, we saw what happened in Mali, we saw what happened in Guinea, and still sat down and allowed another coup. In fact, there was an attempted one in Guinea-Bissau as well.
What is ECOWAS? It's a loose body of nations in Africa with no power to do anything.
So why do we still have them there?
That's a question you must ask. I go back, and people will say, why are you going back to Nkrumah? The formation of the OAU, which is now AU. What was its intendment? It was intended to be a body that will have a common monetary policy and zone. It was a body that was supposed to have a common diplomatic mission. It was a body that was supposed to have a standing commanding army. It was a body that was supposed to be politically integrated. It was flowing from there that people said, okay, let's do regional grouping along trade. So ECOWAS is an economic community.
Okay.
So from the word go, you see, it lacks even the capacity to forcefully enter a country and restore order. It cannot do that. President Akufo-Addo, as chairman of ECOWAS, is stopped by any, whatever, to march troops from Ghana to go to Burkina, which is our neighbor here, to do anything. So it brings to question the structuring of the ECOWAS platform itself. And I will take it to the mother or the bigger platform, which is AU. That what is it there for? Okay. What are we waiting for Africa? So it's time for us to reflect. For me, the core. But the most important thing which I want to land on is that there are triggers of insecurity, which are the things that we should concern ourselves with. And that includes rumor mongering, speculative politics, slander, defamation, and above all, living insincere, if you like, corrupt lifestyles.
Okay. Let me bring Kamaldeen in because there have been concerns that when it comes to ECOWAS, they are more concerned about protecting aging presidents than addressing the problems of the youth. And Côte d'Ivoire is one clear example. In fact, even Guinea. The fact that these presidents decided to review the constitution, and we had leaders in ECOWAS who attended their inauguration. We have the Ivorian president who is still part of ECOWAS, even though he had, extended his stay in power. And so it looks as if we're not concerned about the people on the ground who are asking for change, for better situation, but rather shielding these people.
Well, thank you very much once again. My good brother Kabila contributing on the first matter regarding the DC.
We're not going back. Let's not go back. We don't have time.
No, I'm not going back. I'm not
Okay.
going back. It's just to dovetail into what we are discussing, actually. Mentioned the element of humility by leaders and people in public office. And I want to concur. I want to side with him. I want to associate myself to that comment. It is important that your posture, your way of handling people, your way of handling people in authority who are supposed to be institutions that are supposed to work, okay, you look at it well. And then, of course, present a very good, you know, if you like, humble posture to them to avoid some of these things. Having said that, on the issue of ECOWAS, you just alluded to the fact that there is some belief by some people that some aged presidents, from your own words, are being protected by the regional body.
That's the concern of the people on the ground.
You see, and once again, I want to side with Kabila when he ends on the note of rumor mongering and says it is a form of security threat.
How is that so?
Yes. You paint a picture, a gloomy picture, about a particular body, not seeing the positives of that body, to people who are supposed, okay, to reason with such a body. Then when you paint that gloomy picture to them, they tend to hate the body which is supposed to help us shape our democracy in the sub-region. That is what I'm saying. The rumor mongering, as he's mentioned, could be a form of security threat to us. That is why we need to be measured and be responsible, okay, in whatever we do and say as citizens of ECOWAS.
Okay.
You see, there's a challenge. The challenge is that statehood and sovereignty is an important, or are two important words in terms of, you know, governance. ECOWAS, yes, you subscribe to it as a member, does not mean that your sovereignty or your statehood has been taken away. No. You have your internal affairs, which is governed by the laws of sovereignty and statehood. And ECOWAS has a limit it can go. What they did yesterday was good. We can admonish, we can call on, we can try as much as possible to see what we can do to admonish citizens of ECOWAS to uphold democracy. But hey, it is not that easy to form a military high command and say, look, what is happening in Burkina Faso, or what has happened in Burkina Faso on the 24th of January, we are going there. Devoid of whatever, we don't care. We're going in to fight the military. That is not how it works. You can't go to Guinea and do same. The internal constitution or laws of that particular area is supreme to the conventions that we subscribe to. When you read international law, they tell you some of these things, and it's clear. That is why I said there's a challenge. If you recall, in recent history, what happened in Liberia, the killing of Sergeant Doe, was it?
Yeah,
Doe.
Samuel Doe.
Samuel Doe. ECOMOC was there, went through processes and got to that level. But you see, even their presence did not stop what happened. And look at where
They sent ECOMOC.
they sent ECOMOC.
ECOMOC was the military
wing
they put
of
together. Led by a Ghanaian.
Led by a Ghanaian, Kwenu.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm saying that sometimes you have to be careful how you go in. After that, Liberia never became the same again. After that. So you see, sometimes talk is cheap. People just wake up and say, this person has done this. ECOWAS, go and do this. They have a limit they can go. And I'm saying that we as citizens of ECOWAS, let us learn good governance and understand how we contribute to some of these discussions.
How do we learn when, in actual fact, it is only when the coup happens that we hear ECOWAS, of course, speaking to these countries and the military leaders on the principles of governance. Yeah. But they don't take their time to educate the young people, even before a coup happens. And so Professor Enin said this, that in actual fact, the problem is not the fact that there are some military men who are power drunk, you know, but it's rather democracy. Because we haven't taken our time to educate young people
absolutely.
so much.
I have listened to Kabila when he says, he cited OAU, now AU, and spoke about how and the intentions that brought about OAU. I agree with him holistically. But I want to add this. I remember my good old days in the secondary school when we were asked a question, look, OAU is a toothless bulldog, discuss under government. That brings for this discussion that we're having. We have such bodies, but how well do they bite? How well do they ensure, like you said, that they appear proactive to avert some of these happenings in wherever the jurisdiction that they are found? Many have argued that little is done. But it is not again to say that let us condemn such bodies, because we need them too. There are positives of these bodies as well. The economic integration the economic integration that we're talking about. ECOWAS, for instance, by virtue of the existence of ECOWAS, today free movement of goods and trade and services is found in West Africa. That is also a positive. But we cannot just hinge our argument or our talk against these bodies just because some political uproar is happening somewhere and we expect them to quickly go in. That is why I said that, look, such bodies will exist, but they have limitations when it comes to certain political authority that you have to do. But let us encourage them. What they did yesterday was absolutely right and good. The calls by the chairperson, the calls by the members to say that, look, let us all say no to military interventions is also very right. However, we should go beyond that. My brother mentioned a particular quote that we can have so many leaders, but we have very little or few leadership shown, as it were. Let the leaders of ECOWAS talk among themselves. If your brother who is in country A or country B is behaving, untoward, which is inimical to the constitution of the, please, you are not coercing the person, forcing the person, just a simple talk.
So do you agree then that the Ivorian president is one of the people who is, you
see, there was this argument that our first president of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was a tyrant, a dictator. Then a law expert came to say no, he would not describe Dr. Kwame Nkrumah as a tyrant and a dictator. They asked him why. That whatever he did was within the laws of Ghana. Whatever actions that Kwame Nkrumah did was within the laws. Therefore, by virtue of the fact that he's going to speak subjectively to laws, then Kwame Nkrumah was not a tyrant.
So you
now, if you ask me a question, wait a minute. If you ask me a question, whether or not the president of La Côte d'Ivoire is a tyrant or a dictator or a despot or whatever you want to call him, I will say, by virtue of the fact that he succeeded, it may be wrong, but he succeeded in ensuring that the laws of the country says this is the process we have to go until he went through election and won. Whether good or bad, once is the law, some will tell you that, look, he cannot be a tyrant.
Okay.
So, you see, to end with, I think that, look, the fidelity of the law that my good brother spoke about is important. I also think that, yes, some of us, our utterances on some of these matters must be measured so that we cannot just condemn people anyhow. However, I will also say that I beg of every leader in Africa, not just only West Africa, to respect the laws and let democracy strive.
Counsel, Professor Anin has predicted that there's likely to be about 2 more coups between now and June 2023, if we don't address the toxicity within the country. And so there's a youth bulge and unemployment, there's insurgency, so many of these issues, and we seem to play the ostrich. Nothing really is being done about it. And before we realize, it will blow up in our faces. Do you agree?
Bella, the conditions that give rise to coup d'etats in the sub-region are mostly created by majority of those who sat in Accra yesterday.
The African leaders?
The West African leaders, majority of them are the cause of the coup d'etats.
Why?
When there's misgovernance, when there's poor and bad governance, everybody in the country feels that he has a right to rescue the country. So teachers feel they have a right to rescue the country. But they only have chalk. Chalk cannot do a coup.
Laptops now.
Okay, laptops cannot do coup. So when I hear people say that, let the military stay away from politics, I say they don't know how people feel.
Is that what people are saying?
You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I hear people say the military should stay in the barracks, I tell them that they don't know how the human being reacts when situations go bad. everybody in the country feels that he has a right to rescue the country from the doldrums. But it is only the military that has something that can be used to effectuate and ensure that the rot that we are complaining about stops. And that's how come there is this military takeovers. The teacher has a chalk or laptops that cannot do a coup d'etat. So I'm saying that the conditions that create coup d'etats is as a result of the behavior and conduct of democratically elected presidents who begin to turn themselves as dictators. And you cited the example of the Ivorian thing. These people who sat yesterday, the presidents, do they engage in self-introspection? Do they? Look, anytime they meet, and the next time they are going to meet, one of them is not there. Do they reason? Do they know that it's coming close? Do they? Mali. The Guinean president was talking about Mali. One day went by and they said they rang the bell and they say assembly again. He wasn't there. Burkina Faso, when they rang the bell, come again, he too wasn't there. Do they know that it is inching close to them? Is there a peer review amongst them? And this peer review, do they hold meetings, not only to talk about coup d'etats, but let's say hold meetings to say that, what is happening in your country? We don't want it. Do they do that? Do they do that to themselves? So I say that what is happening is more or less a talking shop. Why? Who doesn't know that when you succeed in making a coup d'etat, the thing is they will suspend you from ECOWAS. What do you even, when you attend the course, what do you get? So you suspend you from ECOWAS and then they impose sanctions. And these sanctions do not bite the leaders. In fact, if there's only 1 gallon of water in that country to drink, it is the leaders who will drink it. So the sanctions bite the ordinary people. Can ECOWAS rethink and do things differently? Ensure that there is good governance. If there is good governance, look, in Burma, Myanmar, when there was a coup d'etat there, the people came out against the military men. What is happening in the sub-region?
Venezuela, Hugo Chavez.
Yes.
He was almost, the military took over, but the civilians returned him to power.
Yeah.
What is happening here? In the sub-region, people come out to jubilate because of tyranny, suppression of what kind you have in the country. Look, I want to sound this. These presidents, let them hear and hear me well. Some of them have not left. That it is not only an attempt to change the terms in a country's presidency, like Guinea did, that amounts to bad governance. But even your style of governance in the country, and that links to what Professor Eni said. This youth, these people we drive, and in the night when I get to the traffic light, I'm alarmed. The way they swoop onto your car, they are a keg of gunpowder ready to explode. Those boys, those people there, you just need to give them something small and say, come, let's go to Dodua Forest and start training. And there they are. So how do we stop these things? We can stop these things when leaders, democratically elected, decide that I will do what would please the people by ensuring that I engage in acts that will promote the welfare needs of the people. Governance is about dealing with the needs of the people. It's not about you, the individual. Why? In our own country, the ECOWAS Protocol on Good Governance and Democracy and Good Governance says that you don't change major electoral rules 6 months to election. Didn't we do it here? So if our president is pontificating and admonition. He himself, the good governance protocols was breached in this country.
Oh, really?
How was it breached?
I'm saying, I've just told you. You don't listen.
I'm
saying
listening
that
to you, and
good
I'm asking
governance,
you.
the
Easy.
ECOWAS protocol on good governance, democracy and good governance, says that you don't change electoral rules 6 months.
The register.
The rules. You don't change the rules or the laws if you want. 6 months to elections. In Ghana, didn't we change our register? Is that not part of the rules? Didn't they send a CI to Parliament to take off birth certificate and take off some things, and then now you have a new register? I am saying that if we don't play by the rules, it would give rise to some of these coup d'etats. Okay. And he said that people, once they are able to change the rules and they play by the rules, it's okay. Apartheid was in accordance of law. Would you be proud of apartheid today? Would you say that what was happening in South Africa, because the white minority passed laws to subjugate the blacks, by virtue of the fact that it is about the laws and the laws are being followed through, it was okay? So if you have majority in Parliament, and we say every 4 years, then you decide to use your majority in Parliament to turn it when the spirit and the letter of the Constitution that brought you into power frowns upon that, you say people should just sit down. So I'm saying that let the leaders who assemble here do a self-introspection. Else, when the bell is rung, they will always be missing. One of them will miss.
We seem to, in your case, you seem to blame the leaders only, but Kwabena Bonfa said something that was quite, deep. The fact that he says that we should also see it as a reflection of who we are when we elect these leaders into office, which is why they continue to disrespect us time and again. You haven't touched on that. Should we also take part of the blame?
Who bears the greater responsibility for me is what my submission this morning is about.
Okay.
And you partially answered him. When somebody comes masqueraded as the Messiah, and he has a sweet tongue, and he gives you the impression and makes people believe that this is the Messiah, and you vote for him, he turns out to be something else. How do you blame me?
But he says, look beyond the promises.
No. I am not in a position, I'm not now what do they call them, BNI or NIB?
NIB.
I am not in a position to begin to go to the person's family and ask this man, how was he in secondary school? Was he, before I come back and vote? I take you for your word. And it's a social contract between the elected and the electorate. And that is why there's room for changes. So the greater responsibility lies on the leaders. And if all of us, the economy is booming, things are on, and people get their basic needs, who will be sitting down thinking about a coup d'etat? And I give an example of where civilians had to even come out to defend deposed leaders.
Kwabena, so, I mean, I'm sure you'd want to touch on the two guests and the issues that they've raised, by the way.
Well, I think that I have not, and I hope that nobody got me wrong, that I'm saying our leaders are absolved
Of blame.
or innocent of blame. I have not said that.
No, but look, Kabila, we are all making our submissions.
Oh, no, I'm not responding to you.
Don't think that.
No.
Yes, we are all making our
Sina,
submissions.
please.
Yes.
I'm not reacting to you. I'm just making a point, and you would appreciate that I'm even going to strengthen a point you made about the ultimate responsibility resting with leaders. At the end of the day, you put yourself up for leadership. I'm only saying that it is very easy to always point the accusing finger at our leaders. And that is a major part of our problem. No leader single-handedly can build any nation. So when a leader comes and presents himself or herself as having the master stroke, without which you cannot build a nation, you must begin to question that promise itself. And that's why I'm talking about the responsibility imposed on us. Look, citizenship must be defined culturally. In Akan, there's a statement that Obrai Okun, life is war. And leadership must start from the individual within your own household. Then you move to the family or clan level before you go to the township. Then it goes into that hierarchy. I'm saying that if we all will play our part in terms of responsibility and burden bearing, we won't wait till the last minute when leaders are disregarding our rules.
There's a burgeoning desire for military rule, even in Ghana. If you look across the social media landscape and you look at the kind of comments that young people make.
Unfortunately, those who are making such reckless calls and statements don't know what they are talking and calling for.
Absolutely.
And I'm disappointed when I hear politicians in democratic conversations even consider that military or force is an option. It is not. It is not. I say it's a no in democracy. The military is not a solution. That one I want to speak directly to my senior. When we are talking about the rule of law, this constitution has a plethora of options for us to check abuses by anybody in office. Many, a plethora of them. If you go to parliament today, with all the noise that the opposition is making, 3 key committees that can checkmate Akufo-Addo and his ministers if they are getting reckless with the law and our public purse are in their hands. The Public Accounts Committee, the Government Assurances Committee, and then I think the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. These are chaired by members of the opposition or minority.
Are they not doing their job?
Hold it.
Okay.
So if the executive has the legislature as exercising oversight, and these committees, subcommittees within the legislature are chaired by the minority, and chairing them means that you have an upper hand in those committees. You are telling me that legislative house, that august house, cannot, by law, cut the growing wings, if they are, of the executive. I'll be disappointed. And more so, you see, representational democracy, properly so-called and properly expected to be, is the key representation of the people. You are not there to just speak your mind, even though they are elected on the ticket of political parties. They are there representing constituencies. Let us speak truthfully. How many times have our MPs on either side of the house come to ask the constituents who elected them to engage us on our views of the major issues they have been taking decisions on in the house?
You ask some of them and they say they actually engage.
I'm asking practically, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. Have we seen it? You are a constituent. You belong to a constituency. Have you observed them? I belong to about 6 constituencies.
You belong to 6?
About 6, yes. And legitimately I can contest there. Kintampo North, Bole Bamboy, Salaga South. I can go to Cape Coast North. Now Dom Kwabinya. Have I exhausted the 6?
I think so, yes.
Bantama Kumasi.
Okay, one more, yes.
If you want, I can add Swami.
Where did you vote in the last election?
Currently, my vote is in Kintampo North.
So that's your MP. Have you had the chance to engage your MP?
It is not done. So I'm telling you, the 6 that I've mentioned, I don't see this thing I'm calling for or ought to be happening.
Okay.
So you see, the fact of the matter is that there are problems and there are challenges. But that's what, nation building, affords us the opportunity to take our time one by one, to opt for a military intervention in a democratic conversation. It's not to understand democracy at all.
Okay.
It's a no-no.
Okay, let me bring Kamal Dean in. How do you feel when you see such comments? Because they have come up quite often. If you're on social media often, you see that young people keep saying that it's time we have a military rule.
But before Kamal Dean, look, those who are making those calls, I want them, each of them, to take their time and go and read the MPP versus Attorney General 1993-1994 Ghana law reports.
Okay.
The decision of the Supreme Court on whether or not 31st December should be a public holiday and celebrated at the expense of public purse. And you will see what the judges said. Cool. You don't know it.
In fact, let me just read this tweet.
I feel very...
Hold on, let me just read it. So this was on the 27th of January. Yeah. So there's a young man who said, please, we need a coup d'etat in this country. He used some words I cannot mention here. Only our military men can take us forward. And I told him, don't ever say that again. You have no idea the deleterious effects of a coup. Then another one comes to say that, Bella, it's the fact that the whole African continent must be rebooted. Are you happy yourself seeing all these greedy politicians gallivanting around while the majority of people are suffering? Do you see any future for the youth in this country? Teachers, nurses, lecturers, name it.
Bella,
coups have destroyed Ghana more than anybody.
I will answer your question by saying that I feel very appalled. I feel very angry when I hear such comments, especially coming from politicians, frontline politicians who must know better or who should know better. Bella, Article 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana is very clear, very emphatic on this matter. It says, and I read, any person who, by himself or in concert with others, by any violent or other unlawful means, suspends or overthrows or abrogates this Constitution or any part of it, or attempts to do any such act, emphasis on that one, okay, aids and abets in any manner any person referred to in paragraph A of this clause commits the offense of high treason and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to suffer death. That is how serious it appears when you seek to overthrow constitutionalism. And I'm not talking of constitution even, constitutionalism, because basically, Bella, I am talking about constitutionalism giving you that fundamental human right, giving my good brother that right, giving lawyer Amaliba that right. Then we'll sit here and say that, let us throw away that, and then move the power into the hands of someone's whims and caprices to do whatever he wants. Why? Military coups, military regimes, they decide what they want. You see?
I mean, in the case of Burkina Faso, they have restored the constitution that they suspended.
Oh, you see, the very day you say you have overthrown the constitution, I think legal constitutionalism, experts in constitutionalism will tell you that you have actually overthrown the constitution. The very day you seek a coup, you do a coup d'etat, that constitution has been overthrown. Even you then come back the following day to say, I am restoring the constitution by what? Which portions of it will work, which portions will not work? If you are restoring the constitution, then bring back the president you have ousted.
Okay.
The president that the people voted for, bring him back. If you say you are bringing that constitution. So that argument doesn't arise at all.
Okay.
The point I want to make here is that it is a serious matter. You see, and under the NDC, my good brother, the Honorable MP for Asin Central, because of certain comments he made, Amalbe and Co were all out that it was treasonable.
What comment did he make?
Because he spoke about some tribal issues and whatever.
Don't repeat that.
I am not repeating it, but I'm just saying that because he did that, Amalbe and Co were all out telling people that this is treason. He's overthrowing the Constitution of Ghana. With a recourse to Article 17, who tells them what treason is, or Article 18 or so of the Constitution. They didn't even look at it. But they went out there telling people that the man sounded treasonable. Today, you are sitting on set, telling us that by the conduct of some leaders, the military sometimes take over is something we can welcome. Really?
Is that what he said? That you can welcome them?
If you actually interpret what Amalba said here strongly, he sought to back military interventions because he feels that some leaders are behaving untoward.
I'll let him respond to this.
Yeah, I listened to him here. He's here.
I'll let him respond to it.
And I'm thinking that those comments are unfortunate.
Okay.
You see, those comments fuel some of these comments on social media. Someone listening will not listen well and then go to write emphatically, we need a coup in Ghana. Because he has heard somebody who is supposed to have had the privilege on a big platform speaking to that particular level. Okay. So I think that we should be measured in whatever we say. Look, coup in whatever form or shape it comes must be upheld.
Okay.
Must be fought.
All right.
And it's not proper for some of we leaders to do this.
Understood. Counsel, come in and respond to
No,
this
I'm not going to
allegation.
respond to people who lack the intellectual capacity to comprehend. So I'm not going to respond to that.
But he's made an allegation against you on
no,
TV.
I'm saying that.
He's cast an aspersion on your image. You don't want
No. What I'm saying is that
Comprehension, you mean?
everybody heard what I said. I said conditions that give rise to coup d'etat is occasioned by their own conduct. Don't I have the right to criticize them? I'm not a bootlicker. I speak my mind. How does that amount to calling for a coup d'etat? I'm a politician. The effect is that if there's a coup d'etat today, my chance of coming to power in 2024 is dim. So intellectual capacity to understand is also key.
That's quite harsh, by the way.
Let me go to the point.
You don't find it harsh?
No,
Okay, then let's move on. If you don't find it harsh, then it's okay.
Subjective.
Okay, let's
Comprehension is
carry on.
subjective. One can make a fully comprehension and think it's comprehension.
I actually intended to be harsh because this guy,
You intended to be harsh?
this guy, his conduct on set can be nauseating, not today. So let me go ahead. Yeah. Now, listen. I want, Bella, you, show me one pastor, imam, archbishop, or even the pope, who, when preaching about heaven, will not mention hell. Show me one, and I'm giving you a second.
Oh, you're asking me to?
Show me one.
No, but I don't respond
You don't
to
answer
questions.
questions. That's good. That's a good
My
answer.
job here is to ask the questions, so carry on with your point.
Question. So, in preaching about heaven, you by all means want to contrast it with hell and say that it is better you do good so that you go to heaven. So when people are saying that you must govern well so that we don't fall into the situation that our neighbors are in, how does that amount to saying that you want a coup d'etat? And let me go back to my saying. Show me one pastor who has ever preached about heaven and said that and have not mentioned hell. So it is not. And I've made a submission just now that as a politician, I have high hopes that I'm coming to power in 2024. I'll be the last person to want a coup d'etat.
Okay.
Because that will send me back. And when there is that situation, we all, and you see, those of us who were born in the 60s have seen a number of coup d'etats. And I've seen how that didn't help this country. So I'm not about to be the one who will be canvassing for coup d'etats.
Okay.
But I will still sound a warning that, hey, it's in Burkina. Hey, it has happened here. How does that make me a lover of coup d'etats?
Okay. Point noted. Comrade Mutala Mohammed said, did I hear my brother Kabila say the opposition is engaged in noise making in parliament? I'm not surprised. In fact, I don't think he used it, by the way. He says, in fact, there's evidence in my constituency that I engage my constituents often
Malcomprehension.
on critical national issues. The fact that he hasn't seen MPs engage in same doesn't mean that they don't. Well, we established the fact that some of them do, but he was asking how many of them. But let's quickly move on to our next topic. My time is limited. We'll see if we can touch on it briefly.
Tell my brother Mutala to listen and not be informed by people who are not listening well.
Council, I just want your thoughts on the issue with the Sin North MP. And yesterday, he was charged with forgery and 4 other criminal offenses. This was on the back of a February 1 court proceeding. He was sent back to court concerning the issue of dual citizenship. And at the time when he was said to have filed for nomination to run for MP, he officially was still a citizen of Canada. And so there was no way he could have held himself as an MP. Now this issue has come back again and he's been charged with 4 crimes.
The situation with the Sin North MP is, for me, mind-boggling, the way the government is persecuting him. I say persecuting because these are matters that are before the Court of Appeal. We have not exhausted the appeal process. There's a stay of execution and there's a notice of there's an appeal itself. one would have expected that if we're going to charge him, because most of the charges are framed from the High Court ruling in Cape Coast. Now, let's assume you succeed in convicting and sentencing him. Then he wins his appeal. What have you done to him? Because the allegation of perjury is also being contested at the Court of Appeal. So what is this case for? What is this indecent haste to prosecute him for when the matters at the Court of Appeal are not exhausted? Yesterday, I heard Atachia, a very senior lawyer, respected one, make a submission that baffled me. You say you are going to prevent the man from taking part in parliamentary proceedings. And when his attention was drawn to a stay of proceedings, execution rather, filed by the accused, the Asinov MP, his submission was that that stay of execution also applies to him, he the one who filed it. It's wrong. Stay of execution, what it does is that it puts the parties to the suit or the matter back to the positions they were.
Citrus County.
That, exactly. Back to the positions they were before the matter went to court. And what was the MP's position? He was an MP. He was sworn in. So,
but even that, he was sworn in at a time when the Cape Coast High Court had ruled that he could not hold himself as an MP, and that a fresh election needed to be held.
No.
That order.
The order is
that order. That injuncting. That order.
There was a ruling.
No, there was a ruling.
There was a ruling from the Cape Coast High Court.
Yes, there was a ruling. I was there representing him in court.
Yeah.
There was a ruling, but the order was directed at the Clerk of Parliament to prevent him
from
being sworn in. And he was already in there to be sworn. And so...
And your people, hoodwinked the Clerk of Parliament.
No. If there's an injunction, you serve me, who is being injuncted. I am the one. It is about me. So if you go and serve him, for him to now take action on me, when I have not been served, you've done nothing. And that is why the MPP cannot go for contempt, because there was no order directed at him or there was no order served on him. That's why they can go on contempt. You know, when even ordinary land cases, when they say don't go onto the land and you go onto the land, I cite you for contempt. But you have not been served and you have no, the order was not directed at you. So that's why they can go. Now, they have decided that they will charge him on these charges. Yeah. These 5 charges, just because they want to take him off so that they can have the e-levy pass.
How do you say that? Why do you think that would be the reason
about?
why?
Because it is not today.
Resuscitate
it is not today that this ruling was made. In fact, they benefited from him.
How?
He helped in passing their budget. Have you finished laughing?
I like that angle. I like that angle.
They benefited from the illegality. The illegal person, they benefited from him. But now that is coming to the crunch.
Okay.
And their interest is not being served.
All right.
They have, but so let the others also have a bite.
Yeah, because my time is up. Pardon me, if you can give me just 5 minutes so I can have 2 of them speak.
On that wonderful note, I think that I would like to say that let us be very clear on some of these matters. My fundamental question I would ask is, at what point do we say crime has expired? Is a fundamental question. At what point do we say perceived crime committed by somebody has expired? I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but Denver versus Denver will tell you no matter how small a crime is, it's still a crime. It's a tried-law case that people have. The point I want to make is that legal processes, I'm not a lawyer, he's a lawyer, he knows that. Of course, are processes that sometimes involves a lot of technicalities. You could make an argument that yes, when you go on an appellate process, the same matter is what you have raised up. Same argument is what you have raised up. Therefore, you have a chance to prove yourself there. So if perjury was part of the trial case and has moved to appeal, then of course it is still there. That argument holds. I don't mind. It's by law. But there are other 4 counts that the person has been charged with, that they think that this is criminal, this is bad, and the law must answer, or the person must answer to the law. I don't think that crime or criminal processes, can be stopped because of somebody thinking that politically there's some,
So this timing, is it mere coincidence, or is there a ploy to reduce the minorities' number in Parliament so you can have the e-levy passed?
That is their thinking.
Is that the case?
That is, he has a right to say, to espouse his opinion. But the point I want to make is that crime has no expiry date. Whether it started yesterday or tomorrow, or it's going to start tomorrow next, so long as it has been occasioned, the processes must follow.
Koko, can you allow Kabila some 1 minute to at least touch on this briefly so we can go? Please. Kabila.
Well, a matter before courts, I would defer that we allow the court to speak.
All right.
However, I just wanted to remind my senior, in his last submission, I saw him now admit that the principle of res ista loquitur cannot oust Odi or Trumpatem.
Okay. Well, Comrade said that. Comrade said you said, and he quotes, the noise the opposition is making in Parliament. He said you made those, you said those words, by the way. So maybe we have to go and listen to it again.
Well,
but thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Committees that they are heading.
Kamna Bonfa Jr. is the managing editor of the National Forum newspaper. Also, lawyer Abraham Amaliba is the leader of the legal team, head of the legal team for the NDC. And Kamal Dean Abdullah is a deputy director of communications for the NPP. And also recently, he is director of the board of TOR. Oh, I had to add it. Big thank you to Sheila Bonsu for styling me every Friday on the show. And I hope that you enjoyed the big issue. Coming up, we have in fact, 2 major exclusives today. So Captain Smart will be joining us after yesterday. He finally met his bail conditions and was released. He said quite a number of things, and Johnny will be sitting down with him. And later, Kwokese will also join us. Cookie will be having that conversation. So stick and stay. This is the big issue. Well, this is TV3 New Day. We'll be back.